I know usually I'm here with Bobby Rader, my co-host on the radio. No, this is not Bobby that I've stretched, okay? He's not gone from 5'3" to 6'3". He's actually out of town. So I came out to the pitching mound and went to the bullpen, and I asked Jesse if he would mind coming over today and meeting the fine folks here at the Kiwanis. And he said yes. Of course, that was after I said, well, you get a free meal, too. So, I mean, but it was because you guys, the reason why he came. Jesse's been with me now about 3 years. He is from Minnesota. Anybody here from Minnesota? No. Nobody? Anybody drive through it, maybe? Okay, one. Okay, all right. Surely somebody been there at least.
It's a long way away.
It is a long way.
They've been to Canada there since you've been there.
He's a what? Oh my God! Look, he is a fan of anything in Minnesota. I don't know why he's a Gopher fan, but he is. But yeah, yeah. He's a fan of anything from Minnesota. So Jesse's been with me for about 3 years, and he's been obviously an asset to the program, to the sports department, as far as what we try and do around the area, because we consider ourselves a hyper-local sports department. We try and do as much local sports as possible, as much as we can. I mean, we would love to have all kinds of 30-minute sports shows if that was possible, but, the only people to get that are weather. And neither one of us know anything about the weather, so don't ask me questions today. I know y'all going to ask me, Kenny, is it going to snow Sunday? I don't know. But, yeah, Reynolds says 5 inches, so we'll see if it gets 5. But yeah, it's been one of those situations where really he's only got about 3 months left on his contract, so he might be one and done here today. I don't know. Hopefully he stays with us a little bit longer. Usually, as you guys know in the past, this turns into a Q&A. So I like to ask you guys questions. Okay, so you ask me, all right, and we'll try our best to answer it. And it's anything about the business, anything about sports. And I was going to tell you, the only thing, I don't know if golf is really ready to die just yet. There's a little guy that really made it a big appearance a couple of weeks ago playing with his dad. If he's anything as close, as good as he is, I think golf might be in for another second wave with this Charlie Wood. So he's pretty good right now. He's pretty talented. So.
Is McClung not good enough to play pro ball?
I think he's good enough. I think there's just a backload of guards. I mean, the Lakers, you see what they have, and you see what the Bulls have. I'm not going to say I wish he'd go on a crappier team, to put it that way, but I mean, it's just is like that sometimes where there's a backload of guards, there's a backload of power forwards, centers, whatever position that, certain players want to play. So, just kind of looking at the rosters, Lakers have a plethora of guards that are waiting in the wings for all those old guys to come and move on. So who knows? Maybe he does get called up next year, in 2 years, because Lakers are getting old, and I think maybe they're just waiting for it to happen. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think really just the Bulls were honestly too backloaded. I think that's just what happened, and I think they saw that too. And why have a kid sit in the D League or the G League when you know that he's good enough to be on a professional team? So why not just let him go?
Yeah, come up here closer, because you're on the YouTube
right
here.
There,
No, that's
right
too
there.
close. That's too close. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard to measure heart, and his heart is huge. I mean, this is what he wants. He's not that tall, but we've seen little guys make it in the past. It's hard to make. I sometimes when I get a chance to speak to high school kids and things of that nature, listen, it's hard to get into professional sports. It just is. I mean, you see all these teams, you see all these players, and you think it's easy. It's not. I mean, for him to have gotten this far is a really big accomplishment, because a lot of kids either are sitting at home or they're playing overseas. So big accomplishment for him.
Kenny, now that ETSU has a different football coach, do you see a different approach? Can you give a little insight there?
Well, I think one of the best things that George did right off the bat is he kept the defensive team, because Billy Taylor and his defensive coaches have done an unbelievable job. I mean, they've been ranked pretty much in the top 30 in the country for the last 5 years. They've been in the top 3 of the SoCon for the last 5 years. He's just really a good defensive coach. The only change that he's going to make, I guess, is offensively. And he said that he's going to run more of an up-tempo offense, not the one you see in Knoxville. That's a little strange. That's really fast. But he's going to run a little bit more up-tempo offense. So, you know, it just depends on what Krull we get. Do we get the Krull that was the godfather of high school football for so long in Maryville, and now his game is adapted for the college level? You know, he's still got a lot of kids that came from last year's team, so he's still got a lot to work with over there.
Is Tennessee, why did Tennessee go to the Music City Bowl, and why would they ever go back again?
Wow. Well, okay. Well, okay, I'm going to give you coach speak. Coach speak is we got 10 more practices. That's what they're going to tell you.
Well, but just another bowl, any bowl but that bowl. We always
Okay.
get ripped off.
Okay, I like that. Well, here's the thing. You probably need to win a couple more games. If you win a couple more games, we could have been in Florida. Could have been one of those bowl games. But you know, it didn't work out that way. And it's really a matter of who asks you. I mean, you don't really get to pick. It's not like UT goes in the office and says, you know, let's go to that one. No, it doesn't work. It depends on who gives you the invitation. And the Music City Bowl gave them the invitation. Obviously, it worked out beautiful for them because it was the largest crowd ever. It was one of the most watched football games, you know, other than the playoff and the championship. So it worked out for the school and for the Music City Bowl. So if they only reach 7 wins again, they'll probably get asked to go back to Nashville.
Another fourth bowl.
Wow. John?
True, Kenny, that the SEC got a lot more involved in the matchups this year than they have been in the past.
Yeah, and you know, and that's because just the SEC carries so much weight. Let's just be honest.
Big time, baby.
I mean, and it's only going to get worse when you bring in Oklahoma and Texas. Okay, I mean, basically they want to be the big kid on the block. All right, and that's where they're headed. And so, yeah, they do. They have a lot of pull, and you got a lot of teams that are around that 7-win category. You know, the Ole Miss and teams of that nature, and so that's the reason why they got better bowls. I think better bowls are ahead for Tennessee. You know, I think they got the right guy in. Now, if they can put a defense on the field, they can stand up to being out there pretty much the whole game. They won't be too bad.
You was here last to ask you about the forecast for the portal and its effect on high schools. That's 3 years later, so what do you think now?
You know, the portal,
Yeah, this is interesting.
basically, if you take a player out, then it works for you. But when they start leaving to go somewhere else, then you hate the portal. I personally think the portal is the first step of football getting out of control, or sports getting out of control. Because personally, to me, what stops any university from telling some kid on some team, hey, we can start you next year, you can start right away for us, just enter the portal? I mean, when does recruiting stop? Or what stops a booster from telling a kid that? I mean, ETSU is going to lose 2 or 3 of their best players this year because bigger schools have come and gotten them. They got an offensive lineman. Who are some of the schools?
Texas Tech. I mean, Power 5 teams. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, if I'm my opinion too. You know, just doing all this and looking at all this, you don't learn anything from, you know, backing out of adversity. I mean, that's my big thing, is that all these kids are kind of, you know, taking the low road. It's like, what do you get from, you know, taking a kid? Like, I mean, for example, I mean, he's a sports director. Let's just say I take his position. Are you going to go to enter the transfer portal? Probably. But, you know, that's fine because he's an older kid. But, I mean, you see these freshmen and sophomores that are, you know, entering the transfer portal. It's like, what are you learning from that? You're not learning anything. You know, you're not learning from life. You're not learning from that challenge in life, and I think that's where people learn their biggest lessons. So I think really what the transfer portal does is kind of bails kids out. And I mean, that sounds bad, but you have so many kids that sit there and complain and whine, and I think this generation, and Obviously, you're probably looking at me saying I'm part of this generation, but hey, it's all part of it. But I think when you see these kids complain and whine and get the way that they get the stuff that they want to get, and I mean, it's the me generation. So I don't like it personally, but I mean, I can't control the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, for so long we talked about school and university being about going to class, getting your education. That's not what it's about today. It's really not. I mean, this portal has made it's a sport. You're moving from one place to another because you continually want to better yourself to get yourself into the NBA or to the NFL. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I think sooner or later it's going to become a problem, just like the NIL. I know somebody's going to ask here, name, image, and likeness. Kids now being paid. I'm trying to remember what school it was, paying each offensive lineman and defensive lineman $50,000 a year.
A high school kid just got it. Junior in high school.
Bryce, the quarterback at Alabama, before he even threw a pass, was making $1 million. Why even go to the NFL? If you stay long enough, you probably make more money in college. I mean, that's where we're headed. I just think that it's going to get out of control. What comes with that is you're supposed to be able to, let's say you have a signing or that kid shows up for you to endorse your company. Well, you got it here in town with Fulkerson and Pals. Now he's going to show up for signings and things of that for Pals. So he'll make a paycheck, and of course we don't know what that is, but I say that it's pretty good. All the saucy burgers he wants. His situation? Or are you talking about what he said this weekend? Well, he kind of backpedaled his way out of it a little bit, but the way he said it probably wasn't the right way, because a lot of people felt as if he was calling Fulkerson out in public. He says that I don't say anything to my kids. I don't say anything in the public that I haven't already said to my kids, is what he said. And he claims that he was talking about Fulkerson being sick from COVID, that if he wasn't 100% and ready to play, he should have just gotten out. That's what he said he meant. But the way it came out, it didn't come out that way. And a lot of people took exception to it. He's got to have Fulkerson. He's their super senior. Guy's done it longer than anybody else down there, anybody in Tennessee history. And I just don't know how many in here might have had COVID, but it takes a while to bounce back from it. All right? And I just think he's just not back to 100%. When you saw that next game he played, I think he took himself out like 3 times because he's not back. He's not 100%. But still, if you're a student athlete or if you're a professional athlete, you don't want to let your teammates down. You're going to play anyway. And that's what he was trying to do, and it didn't work in the LSU game.
Kenny and Jesse, back to the transfer portal. Tell us about the downside. A youngster enters the portal, but nobody picks him or her up. Are they just out, or can they go back to their team, and what happens?
Yeah, because what happens is if you put your name into the portal, and let's say you stay in there for a while, and your team that you just left, well, they fill your spot. So now you can't go back. So you go in there and let's say nobody picks you up. I mean, I think if you enter the portal, you should know 100% that there is a team that's going to pick you up. And that's where I said just a minute ago, that's where recruiting is going to start to become illegal. Because I think last year they had somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000 kids in the portal. So they had more kids in the portal than really they had spots. So, yeah. It's going to become a problem. Some kids are going to be left out, or they're going to fall through the cracks. But, I mean, that's the chance that you take to find out if the grass is greener on the other side.
I mean, you just took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I mean, there's a kid that I just saw on ESPN. There's actually, I think Tennessee might be going after him, is 5-star wide receiver, went to USC, he's from California, went to Texas spring practice last year, got kicked off the team, went back to USC, and now he's transferring again. So 3 or 4 different transfers in a span of a year and a half. So I mean, it's just becoming one of those things where it's starting to get a little wild. And like I talked about before, it's taking high ground. Are you going to be able to fight through adversity? Are you going to be able to battle through adversity? Are you going to be able to fight through some kid coming after your position who's a 5-star and you're a 1-star or you're a no star? Are you going to be able to buckle down? Are you just going to fold and no knock on ETSU, or if you go to a Power 5 team, are you going to transfer to an FCC program or an NAIA program? So it's just one of those things where a lot of these kids don't want to fight, and a lot of these kids don't want to battle for their position and battle for their right to play. So it's just kind of, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little embarrassing for some of these kids, but that's how I look at it. So, yeah.
So you picked Georgia to win the national championship. What's your prediction for Herschel Walker and his bid for USC?
That's good.
Hold on, you so far back, I could have swore you said I picked Georgia to win the national championship. No, listen, I went at the. It's funny because my dad and I we went round and round over this game. I talked earlier this year. I said that Georgia had the best defense in the country. After they played Tennessee, I said, let me tell you why this defense is so good, is you cannot get out on the edge. They're too fast. The defensive ends are too fast. They're running quarterbacks or running backs down. You can't get them. They didn't do that in the first game against Alabama. They allowed the quarterback to get to the outside to get around that coverage, and that's how he beat them. This time it didn't happen. They kept him within their bubble, and they couldn't get to the outside. They always say the defense wins games. Well, we saw it. Defense did win games. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought Stetson Bennett had a better game than he did in the SEC championship game. But when you hold Alabama going into the second half to nothing but field goals, and one of my sayings, I've always said it from Jump Street, I've always said this, you can't win games in the SEC kicking field goals. You just can't. It's what frustrated me for so long with Tennessee under Pruitt. You can't win games. At one point I said even Tennessee scored 17 points against Georgia, while Alabama was struggling. Just defense, And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, this is it. The dynasty's over. Don't get crazy. Okay? He's going to come back even worse next year. All right? Because he hates losing. And so Alabama will be Alabama. But I do think there are teams that are starting to catch up. We saw there for a long time Clemson is a team that's starting to catch up, or was. They lost a lot of people this year. Texas A&M, I think sooner or later, will start to catch up. Listen, all you got to do is look at the top recruiting classes in the country, and basically it's Georgia, it's Alabama, it's Texas A&M. It's basically and those are the teams that are usually playing for championships. So it's only a matter of time Texas A&M is also there in the top 4. In fact, I think Ohio State is number 3, and so Ohio State is up there in the playoffs as well. But these are the 2 best teams. I mean, they got it right. I mean, I know a lot of people probably didn't want to see a rematch of the SEC, but these were the 2 best teams in the country. And I thought they proved that in the playoff game against Cincinnati and against Michigan. All right, any more questions? We're getting close.
How far do you think the Titans are likely to go?
Listen, I think the Titans can go as far as they want to. I'm serious. Now they got everybody back. You got Derrick Henry back. He looks even better fit than he was before he left. It's just a matter of don't be overconfident. Don't do what happened last year when you went and played Baltimore and you got beat when you thought you were going to win that game. You've been off for a week. You've had an extra week to prepare. You're going to get the winner of Cincinnati and the Raiders. So I think that they can go. I think they can get to the Super Bowl, to be honest. I think they're that good. I really do. But stranger things have happened. This is the NFL. It's hard to pick, I mean, is Tampa Bay going to make it back? I mean, does Brady still have enough gas in the tank? Does Kansas City finally start playing like the Kansas City team that we've seen in the past? Is this Dallas's year to finally get out of the first round? It's been a long time. So many categories that they lead offensively with Dak Prescott at quarterback. Might be a fun year as far as the playoffs are concerned.
I will say this too, because whoever said they're a Vikings fan or you like the Vikings back there, yeah, I love the Vikings, but we're an absolute toilet bowl. I'll tell you what, our team's looking horrible right now, and obviously we just fired our GM and co-head coach. Mike Vrabel might be one of the best coaches in the league, if not the best coach, probably behind Bill Belichick and a couple of those other guys. But he's probably going Coach of the Year. But his mentality and his demeanor, I mean, that's what I like in the coach. No nonsense. I mean, we obviously hate it for media members because, we see questions being asked that he'll, kind of snake his way around. But, I mean, that's just how he is. And I like that about head football coaches. Unfortunately, the Vikings head coach wasn't like that. Just got fired. So, I mean, I wish we had Vrabel, but we're not. So.
Yeah, he has played with more substitute players than anybody else this season. That's how much adversity he's had to deal with, and he still has them winning their division and having a bye in the playoffs. So he's done really a tremendous job. All right, come on now. They're getting ready to play that Emmy music. Go ahead, in the back.
You just mentioned the Rams or the Packers.
Ooh, man.
See, I can't talk about the Packers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little biased there, so I think they're going to lose right away, but that's just me.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I mean, there are two good teams. Listen, I don't know if the Rams get out of this first round. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, if Watt comes back to play for Arizona, because he's been missing on Arizona's defense for a while, the only problem with Arizona is they're not going to have Hopkins. But I think Arizona is going to be a tough out for the Rams in the first round. I mean, I think the team that we saw go 7-0 at the beginning of the year might show up this weekend. Green Bay's Green Bay. I mean, every time you think that they're just average, no disrespect, every time you think they're average, Rodgers seems to win. He's a winner. I mean, he does. But they always have that one bad game. What was that? Was that the Emmy music right there? Is that the end of the show? Y'all upgraded. It was a little scary though, but the Packers, I agree. They'll be a tough team as well.
What's your feeling about the potential of the DB basketball team this year?
You say DB, right?
Yeah.
They're looking real good. I mean, they're deep. They got a lot of experience. I've been covering these kids, it seems like, for 2 or 3 years. It seems like those kids, I'm wondering when they're going to graduate, honestly, with some of those kids. But they got some size, too, and I think that's hard to find in high school basketball. I see some of these kids that, no knock on them, 6'2", 6'3", and that's their tallest player on the team, or, starting 5 at least. So with DB, they got some good point guards. Their backcourt's looking good. Their front court's looking really good. They got a lot of experience, and that's hard to find in high school basketball. I think that's clutch when it comes down to playoff time and section tournament time. So I think they're looking good.
No knock. I would kill to be 6'2". What I'm talking about, I'd kill to be 6'1". You had a bad question in the back?
I just wondered about what y'all think about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, she got that Chiefs shirt on, too.
Oh, does she have a Chiefs shirt on?
She's got her Chiefs shirt
Oh,
on.
okay. All right.
That was a plain question.
I noticed, exactly. Listen, it depends on what team shows up, all right? I mean, beginning of the season, one of the best teams in the league. Then they went kind of through a spell there, and everybody says, well, everybody's figured out Mahomes. He's through. The offensive line maybe has not matured yet, which was a great pickup, Trey Smith from the University of Tennessee. I thought he waited too long in the draft, and I think he's proving to everybody that they missed out, because that guy's a steal. And he's only going to get better. This is his first year, and he's already starting. So if the Kansas City team that played at the beginning of the year shows up, yeah, they'll be tough. But I think what's hurting you is Allaire, and he's still out. The running back, I think he's out again. You guys need him in the backfield, I think, to get to the Super Bowl. So I don't think Mahomes can do it by himself. All right, you're getting ready to come up here and yank us once again. I want to thank you guys. I'm glad I had a chance to see the what was it called again?
Rolling of the ball.
The rolling of the balls, and dropping of the balls, and balls going wild. I just tell you what, I had a good time today. So I definitely want to see how this is going to work out. And those people running down in front of the golf ball, I said, what's that? That's like me playing golf regularly right there. Running for my own golf ball. So as always, I've appreciated it. Thanks for asking us over. And as far as the money on the golf balls, Jack said put everything on his account. That's what he told me.
That's what you call a bad bet.
That's what he told me. So you put it on his account.